So I was going to post a few days ago and I decided to unlist the video. It was more of a lighthearted video that I recorded. I may upload it at a later date. But to be honest, I'm very intuitive, I'm very sensitive, and I just felt like this heaviness in the air. This is not the time for that. I just knew it was out of season type of thing. So I unlisted that. Some of you may have seen it. My whole point is I'm on here this time with more of, I don't know, there's just so much happening. And I didn't want to follow behind everyone talking about the same thing. I like to process the world and its events in my own way and then come on here and speak about it in my own way. That's just who I am. I like to be authentic. You know, that whole thing. I'm going to try my best. I'm just going to talk to you like you're right here in the room with me and we're having a conversation. Hi, I'm Adiana Ross, and for those of you who know me, you know me. And then those of you who may not know me, I am an international artist, global humanitarian. I've been on a sabbatical for a little while. I've been abroad for going on 4 years now, which is unbelievable. And as you can see from the title, I want to talk about persecution, because when you decide to give God your yes, the warfare that comes along with it is not for the faint of heart. In fact, the price of it is your life. Oftentimes you having to sacrifice your old life or components of your old life that you may have considered your identity in some way, or just significant parts of who you are, who you were. All that has to die. So there's a level of death, text messages and whatnot, that must ensue. And for artists, that's part of the process. However, when it comes to my ministerial aspect, the work that I do as a humanitarian, as a philanthropist, I've always believed that my calling carried an apostolic component to it, an anointing to it. And if you look throughout history, biblical history to be exact, you'll see what the apostles had to endure, the level of persecution. And I bring up persecution because I know it very well. And persecution operates on a spectrum. There's levels to persecution. We know that persecution, it can be quite intense. It's part of the warfare, is my point. So when I saw what happened to Charlie Kirk, and I know what I've had to endure. Those of you who have been following my story, you see what I've had to endure. You're getting glimpses of it with the album documentary teasers, right? This is really no joke. When you stand for the truth, which is justice, when you stand for the truth, which is God, when you stand for the truth, which majority of the world does not like. In fact, we've veered so far away from that which is the natural truth, like the natural origin in terms of God's design, his original design and its mechanisms and purpose. We've veered so far away. There's labels now. There's labels for those of us who choose the truth. You're this, you're that. And it's like, okay. So if I choose to express the truth, you've already deemed me the enemy. And I'm in this strange position because I've given God the yes. God is the truth. I've given him my yes. So I have to choose the truth. I have to identify with it. I have to express it. I have to live through the truth. I have to show up in the truth and its righteousness. Yet the world will look at me because of that as an enemy. The world will unalive me or destroy me or steal from me and feel it is justified in doing so. Charlie Kirk passed recently, and Charlie Kirk was someone that I observed, I learned from, I appreciated his ministry. That's exactly what it was, what it is. He has a ministry, and he worked with youth, very similar to my ministry, Project Growth Global, in a different way, but still, there's a heart for the youth. There's a heart for God's truth and expressing that in whatever avenue we're called to. And he did that in the way he knew how. But because again, we're living in this day and age, in this dispensation where the truth is so offensive. I'm looking at this divide in response to Charlie Kirk. He's a racist now. He was this, he was that. And it's like, first of all, there's sound bites that are purely lies, defaming this person's character, assassinating his character, even once he's no longer here. And people are still trying to run his name through the mud. And I said, Lord, what is it? What is it? And he told me persecution. Persecution comes with the assignments. Persecution, because you are in the world but not of it, naturally there will be a contention. There will be a fight. There will be a struggle, because the world desires to live in this illusion. The world desires to live in perversity, corruption. There's a deep desire to identify with that which has gone so far beyond God's design and his original intent, that if you decide to value it, you're seen as a strange, weird, racist. Shall I continue? Shall I continue? I just had time to really think about the state of our world and our society. And there's actually a song on the album entitled Society. Again, I'm still selecting the final songs. I've decided that I may have to do more than 8 songs on this album, period. But there's a song called Society. I'm not releasing it as a single, but it will be on the album, Most Wanted album. And it just speaks to how far we've fallen as a people. It's so much deeper than Republican or Democrat. It's so much deeper than that, you guys. It's so much deeper than white and black and the racial sensitivity. I'm so grateful that my father, he never raised me up in that racial sensitivity, that world that sees everything as black and white, race. I'm a victim. He always told me. I remember I was in 4th grade. I had a teacher. His name was Mr. Rorif. His name was Mr. Rorif. Mr. Rorif, if you happen to be tuning in, greetings. Okay, it's been a while. Mr. Rorif, he did something and I didn't like it, and I felt like Mr. Rorif, this white man, was being racist. And I was in 4th grade, and I came home to my dad, he was on my grades. He was always paying attention to what my grades looked like. And I remember telling him, I think Mr. Rorif is racist. And he said, do not say that. Let that go. Do not begin to think that everything that occurs to you, or occurs because of you, or occurs, whatever the case, occurs in general, is because of your race. Let that go now. And he told me as a young girl, he was like, listen, you're not going to think like that. I grew up in predominantly white neighborhoods. I was born in Detroit. We moved to the suburbs when I was a very young child, surrounded by white people. I'm sure some of them could have been racist, but my father never wanted me to see the world like that. And I'm so grateful that he took that away. He took it away, and he said, I want you to see the world where you are on an even playing field. See the world that way. And I'm grateful he did, because I'm looking at how detrimental the racial divide is in the West, in America. I'm not saying racism doesn't exist. That's not the point. But when you reside underneath that ceiling, it limits you. It just does. We can go into that deeper on another day. But I say this to say, please, I want you guys to try and observe things prayerfully, where God reveals the truth of the matter to you, instead of your feelings, your flesh, your emotions, your trauma, what you may have misconstrued. Sometimes you're just wrong. Perhaps there's more context to that soundbite that you've allowed to vex you into this conclusion. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk.